Okay. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I will talk a subject a little bit different that was talked until now. I will talk about a biophysics problem, but I want to left some questions from the computational point of view of this problem. I'm from FAB, but I am close to here in Pitt. Okay, and my idea is to try to discuss some points about to consider challenging conformational changes and functional movements of proteins when you are trying to do protein-ligand docking, protein-protein docking, and KMM. Okay, I don't know if I will have time to talk about everything. Okay, when we think about drug design, protein ligand, it's an important step in this process, okay? We have different steps in different levels, but protein ligand docking, it's an important step, and then we need to try to have better softwares and better methodologies or better protocols to do protein ligand docking efficient, okay? But protein ligand docking, we have a big problem when we talk about protein ligand docking or protein-protein docking. That is how we consider a movement of this protein. Where is the? Okay, sorry. Nope. Yes. Okay. How I can consider these movements when I'm trying to dock in a ligand in a protein? This is a complex problem. It's not an easy problem. We are trying to do this in the last 10 years or 15 years, but we don't have a good solution yet. And this movement, and the first question is, this movement is important for for protein ligand docking? Yes, they are very important. Okay, but they are not easy to be captured by our methodologies and our protocols. Okay, I like to show this slide when I talk. We have a paradigm in biology that's very important: sequence, structure, and function. But we need to think about another correlation. We have function, structure, and dynamics of these macromolecules, dynamics of these proteins. Okay. These three elements, they are correlated, and we cannot think to study the function or the structure of the protein without thinking about the dynamics of these structures. They are not static. They are a dynamic picture. They are dynamic elements, and we cannot suppose that we can understand this well if we don't consider the dynamics of these systems and these proteins. Okay, when we talk about the dynamics of a protein, we talk about two kinds of movements: collective and non-collective movements. Both movements are important for many biology phenomena: catalytic process, effect of mutations. Now we know that one single mutation change all movement of the protein and change all function of this protein. And this mutation don't need to be in the bind site, can be in any local of the protein. The interaction of of proteins with small ligands or with another molecules like as another proteins, these movements are essential. We cannot have this interaction without these movements. Then we need to consider these movements in this process, in the softwares, in this methodology. And it's essential for the future for docking and drug design and to understand these interactions. Okay, if we look for the basic biology aspects, these movements are essential because we have some docking programs that do rigid docking when you consider the protein, the ligand in the model lock and key model. It's our old model in biology. Now we are not using more this model. We have some programs that can consider the induced fit model, but not completely. And here I will ask some questions. And this is a model that we can capture with some protocols that are in the literature now, but this, I think, is the worst case. Okay? And we need to consider another kind that, in my opinion, is more complex, that is the allosteric movements. Okay? If you have an allosteric movement that allow another protein bind, this is very difficult and this is very hard to capture in a docking protocol. Okay, when you talk about protein ligand docking, just to remember, we have two steps in computer aspect. It's search algorithms in a score function. In the search algorithm, we try to find the correct position of this guy in the bind site, and we try to find the bind site when we don't know this bind site. In the most drug design cases, we don't know where is the bind site. We have a notion or we have some candidates for the bind site, but sometimes we don't know where is the bind site. And we need a good functions, a good score function to select the best pose or the best poses. Okay. Then I like this diagram because it's a summary of the problem. Then we have the protein ligand docking. We have three important elements: score function, ligand sampling, and protein flexibility or protein sampling. I think here is the worst problem in nowadays, but there is another problem. How I integrate this with this? Because we have some solutions and some protocols to do this, but not integrating with the function score or with the ligand sampling. Okay, there is another challenges for docking. How I can include the membrane, how I can include metals, water molecules, splicity, or cofactors for allosteric. Then we have many challenges yet in drug design. There are many kinds of score function. I'm not intending to discuss them here, just present. Just remember that we have this important element. They use different strategies using knowledge-based potentials or physical potentials or empirical parameters. And we have different kinds of search algorithms too. And the problem is, this is a problem with many degrees of freedom. And we have another problem. The solvent may play an important role in this interaction. And these two things, it's very complicated to treat in this problem. And what our programs are doing now in this moment that we are available to use. They try to generate poses, orientations in possible bind site. They try to cover this search space of the ligand and the protein, but they cannot cover very well this space. We have a huge trade-off between time and search space coverage. Okay, we can classify the protein docking in three kinds. The literature, you can find three kinds of protein ligand docking: rigid, flexible, and semi-flexible. Okay, rigid is it's fast, it's simple, it's important for virtual screening. The traditional algorithms, they are very good for do rigid docking, but they don't capture the biology, the real biology. They just give you a simple approximation, and sometimes this simple approximation is not sufficient for you have a good candidate for a lead for a drug. Okay, and then you make some movements with your protein and if your ligand. Your protein is rigid, your ligand is rigid, and okay, this is good because we don't have a high computer cost, but it's not a good solution. If we try to include this sampling, oh my gosh, okay, it's too much. Okay, when you try to, what's the problems then the rigidity? We cannot capture truly solutions for the most case, just lock and K models. It's a poor model. And induced fit model, a conformation selects in allostatic movements, I will be wrong. I cannot find the good solutions. Okay, then we have in the literature many protocols and some programs that propose to do flexible docking. And you have different definitions. You have some people saying about if it's flexible if I change my ligand, but I keep my protein rigid, or it's flexible if I apply conformational change local in my protein in a small region, and I fix the other region, and my ligand is flexible. But it's and some authors call this flexible. In my opinion, this is not flexible. This is semi-flexible. I like this conference because here we can left some questions and we can ask some things that maybe is traditional in traditional conference that in my opinion we don't have a completely flexible docking yet, and we are far from here. We are far from this, okay? But we should consider this. Yes, we should. If we don't have a flexible docking, we cannot capture that another two kinds, induced fit and conformational select, okay? But we have some approximations, some approaches that allow to do a semi-flexible docking that, in my opinion, I'm proposing here is what some people call in the literature like as flexible, okay? But, okay, flexible or semi-flexible, we try to capture the models of interactions, but we cannot capture allostatic movements. This is not possible, okay? We try to be more realistic and precise when we try to flexible the bind site or generate different conformations for the protein and flexible all ligand, but this has a right computational cost. If I increase my movements or my flexibility, my computational cost goes up, and this is a hard trade-off. Okay, try to capture the conformational changes of the protein. We can, it's generally, in the literature, we can find two possibilities. Molecular relations or assembling docking is the most common case. I will talk about a little bit about ensemble docking. We can apply different techniques to generate this ensemble of structures for the protein, for the receptor. We can use normal modes analysis combined with molecular dynamics. We can use just molecular dynamics. We can use elastic network models. We can use dihedral perturbations. We can apply these concepts with Monte Carlo or combine normal modes, molecular dynamics, dihedral perturbations, or molecular Monte Carlo and elastic network models. Many combinations are possible. But okay, this is very useful and it's very important for the docking. And in the last years, use this kind of information we capture the model of conformational select, but we have some limitations for the induced fit model. Okay, then when we talk about normal modes analysis or elastic network models or molecular dynamics, we can use Al-Atmos or coarse-grained models to capture these movements. But in the practice, the most people, what they are doing, they are generate different conformations for the receptor, and after you do many dockings of these all conformations with the ligand, and you flexible the ligand, but not the protein. Okay, but okay, you have many different conformations for the protein, and many different conformations for the ligand. But the question is, these conformations are static pictures, okay? and they are generated, when they was generated, you don't have the ligand so close of the protein. But if I put my ligand so close of the protein, this movement will change. How can I do this using an interaction program? Do this in interactive program and not generate ensemble of ligands, generate ensemble of protein and ligand, and cross doing a simple docking. Okay, this is what we are doing, but maybe it's not the best solution. Okay, then here I'm left some open questions or challenges that I consider. How I can integrate the space sampling of a receptor in the search algorithm or the score function? It's possible or not. Okay, this is very important for we have accurate and precise. Okay, if you want this, is that we want, maybe we need to integrate these things. Maybe we need to move to calculate the conformational change of the protein, bind the put the ligand, change the protein again, change the ligand, to have more accurate and precise. Okay, but for this we need to update the movements along the trajectory. We need to improve the accuracy and precision. We need to avoid some artificial effects, like artificial movements of the protein that is not real, or artificial structures that's not real. And then we have another problem. Maybe I can do this for a small system, but for a huge system, maybe I will have more computational cost, and maybe it's not possible. Then I need to think about the processing velocity too, okay, or the computational velocity. Then I would like to left this statement. There is not pure flexible docking. What you have are several kinds of semi-flexible or approximation. We have some protocols implemented. In my lab, we propose with the people in France some protocols. Yvette has a protocol proposed to here in Pitch. But this protocol, they are not so integrated with the docking. They just to generate the conformationals. After we need to take these two ensembles and do the docking. We need something more integrated. We need something more automatic. Mainly if you think about drug design. Until this moment, the protocols that I know are developed in Python or shell script, and they use different programs of docking. Okay, then this is a summary of these challenges. Okay, this is just to citate. These are two methods to sampling the space of proteins that they are become efficient for sampling protein, the conformational change of the protein, the protein sampling. They was developed together with the people in France. The idea is I calculate the normal modes after I apply molecular dynamics along of the modes, and I can have a better sampling from if I just use molecular dynamics. Then I can capture it global motions and local motions, not just local motions. That's more common to obtain in a molecular dynamics. We have using this idea, we have two protocols, two methodologies, two protocols that was published and are being used. Using a restraint potential physics, I will not give details, but there is the reference. And we have a methodology, normal modes activations, molecular dynamics and normal mode activations, that I excitate my system along of the modes with a velocity, and I can generate these conformations. But in this case, it's just receptor sampling. We are not integrating this with the docking. After we have the step to do the docking, this is some success case. This is an example. This is a protease of dengue Dengue, it's an important disease, tropical disease. There are some bind sites here. You just can find this bind site if you change, if you apply elastic network models or normal modes, some of these techniques. If you use the structure of the protein, you cannot find this. If you use just the sequence to try to find these bind sites, you will not find, because these bind sites, they will be exposed just with the movement of the protein, okay? Yeah, this is another case. I will skip. Okay. Then if I do a good protein sampling or receptor sampling, I can identify binding pockets that are not accessible in the crystal structure or in the L protein, in the patterns in the PDB. I can open new bind sites that is not favorable in the crystal structure. And I can adjust and refine. I can adjust and refine the results, but it's not enough yet. Then this is some questions that I can left. Okay, we can capture these adjust movements before the bind. Yes, we can. This is easy. We can apply these protocols, and we have many success cases in the literature reported for many groups. We need to capture movements before, during the binding process, and after. This is better. This is a better solution, and this we don't have not yet. Okay? And the other questions that I talked until now, how can I automatize this process, all this process, but not do the things stunk the things. I generate ensemble, I do the docking, after I do a dynamics to refine my solution. Maybe it's better to integrate every steps. Maybe it's good to have something like this. We calculate the movements, we select some structures, we docking, we movement again, we select some poses, we analyze, we docking again, we find the docking with a molecular dynamics. Then we can score, apply the score functions, re-rank, apply machine learning for post-processing. Then we need, and we can complicate more this process, no? And it's necessary. Okay, this same problems we have in the protein-protein docking. It's not so different, but in the protein-protein docking is more complicated because you have a system, a bigger system, and you have interaction interface more complex, more complicated. Okay, and there are some protocols, some programs that do the same thing that I call it flexible, semi-flexible docking for the protein-protein docking. We generate ensemble for the both proteins, receptor and ligand, and after we combine this using traditional docking. And I would like to show these pictures. This is from 2097, the last year. Look just the blue curve. This is the success tax for difficult cases in the benchmark for protein-protein docking. It's almost random. You are around 50% or 6%. It's a allowed success tax. But you can look for this curve, red curve, and say, okay, here is almost 8% or 100%. Okay, but this is rigid body, and we are not interested in rigid body. We are interested in everything flexible. And when you think to capture complex system, in CAPI, it's a benchmark for protein-protein docking. The people classify in difficult, medium, and rigid body, or easy. The difficult represent proteins that you need capture the conformational fit or induced fit or the conformational select models. Then we are failing here. We are not having success. And there are many kinds of programs here, if you look. ZDoc, PathDoc, VexDoc. Okay. I'm finishing. Okay. The same points that I put for protein ligand, we have for protein docking. I will talk just 1 minute about this. I would like to talk more about this, but okay, after the docking, if I have some compounds in the end of the protein ligand process, one thing that I need to do is calculate the free energy of these compounds to see what compound is better for my pharmaceutical industry. Okay, this is just to show one case of study. If you don't consider the movement of the protein, my free energy barrier is that. It's around 4 kilocal, okay? If I consider the movement of the protein using normal modes or large network models, this energy barrier is 21 kilocal. It's less. And this is according with experimental data. What's the conclusion? This movement will happen. It's necessary for the guy binding in the bind site. If you don't have this movement, he have a high energy barrier. He cannot bind. That it's a artificial solution. That's not a real solution. Okay. But to discuss free energy, we need many another talk. But this is not free energy. This is just work. To calculate free energy, we need more than this. But it's a simple example. Okay, here is a picture of many movements of the protein, the protease, HEV protease, and your receptor showing all conformations where the energy barrier is low. Then there are many conformations showing this. Okay, okay, then I think this is the smart. I think I talk about all questions during the talk. Then I think the most challenge that I could to propose is we need maybe think about how I can integrate these movements in my algorithms, in my search algorithms, in my score function to become this automatic and more efficient. But there are many other challenges for docking protein, and for protein ligand docking. And for KMM, we need to consider these conformational changes. It's important to reduce the energy barrier. If not are considering, we have bad results, not real results. Okay, is that? Thank you. This is sorry for the message, but in Brazil now the humans are fighting against this guy. Then I left the message here. Thank you.
So I think we have time for one question or two, if there are any. And maybe Jimbo can set up while we're doing that.
Do you feel like your work is most limited by the data that is available, or the algorithms that are available, or something?
Understand.
Is your work mostly limited by the availability of data, or a lack of algorithms, or just lack of manpower?
I think the problems in this moment are everything, but the algorithms. I think is the algorithm. Yeah. And okay, we can think about patterns or something. I can go to the PDB and search some patterns to find bind sites. But there is a question. Some bind sites are not exposed in the PDB.
So it's really, and then also managing all the dynamic interaction.
Yeah. Okay, then it's a data problem.
Great. So let's thank Anna again for being here.